In this lesson, we're going to block in the car shell by using box modeling techniques. Alright, so to get started, we're going to create just a simple primitive to get us started with our polygons. So we're going to use a box, and I'm going to go to my top view because it's a little bit easier to create it there. So I'm going to hit T on the keyboard, and I'm going to go ahead and just drag in a box. Now I'm going to be using the cube creation method because it's just left clicking and dragging. Okay. Now you'll notice that my box has two segments along its length, and this is going to be helpful to make sure that this box gets centered up right along where it needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and set my Y value to 0 on that, and I'm going to push this forward to the end of my car. Now let's go ahead and convert this object to editable poly by right-clicking, and we're going to go to our front view by hitting F on the keyboard, and I'm going to pull this up into position. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and go to vertex mode and select this back set of vertices and pull this all the way to the right. Okay, so we're just going to match it right up to here. Now I'm going to hit Alt-X to go to see-through mode on my geometry. This is just going to make it easier to see on our reference image. Now taking a look at this, this is the part where using a reference image can be a little difficult. We can use the front or the profile image like this, but we need to make sure that we're using the top as well as the front image. Okay, now I'm working in the left view to actually view the top or the front here. So we need to make sure that we're matching everything up in at least two of the views. Okay, so I'm going to go to my front view, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to select the vertices right here at the top. I'm going to bring this all the way down to this point right here along the hood there. And then I'm going to take this one and pull it right out here to the tip. Okay, just like so. Now you'll notice that the box is changing shape. It's not staying in the shape that we have of our car, and that's because we don't have any segments here in the middle. So what we need to do is add those segments. And before we do that, let's match up the backside here as well. I'm going to leave this one down here just for right now. So let's select these edges right here in the middle. Now I can use a marquee selection and select those, or I can grab just a single edge and hit ring, and a ring is the set of edges that are parallel to one another. Okay. Now I could also select one edge and hold shift and then select the next, and that will also select that ring. Now with that, I'm going to use connect, and that's going to create a segment between the selected edges or the selected ring. I'm going to go ahead and create 4 segments, and I'm going to hit OK. Now at this point, we're just going to go to vertex mode by hitting 1 on the keyboard, and I'm going to start matching up my vertices to my reference image. So let's go ahead and take the vertices across the top here. Now I'm not worried about this piece of detail right here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take care of that here in a little while. Let's take this vertex. I'm going to pull that up to the top here. And then we'll take this one, and I'm going to pull it up right to, let's go ahead and bring it to right here, just to make things a little bit easier. Now I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to pull that up to right about here. And then we're going to take the bottom, and we'll pull that down and match that across our reference image. Now we still have a few points that need to be taken care of. As you can see here, we're missing this corner. We pull this down, make that right there. Okay, looking good. And we just need a couple more segments. I'm going to go ahead and take this, I'm going to pull it forward. I think it would be better placed here. And let's go ahead and select these edges, and let's use connect. Let's go ahead and take that down to 1 because I just want one segment for right now. So let's pull that up, and then we'll pull this down. And then I'm going to take all of these, I'm just going to pull those back, just like so. Alright, so I need one more segment right here. If I take a look at my top view, you see that we haven't made any progress to make sure that everything is pulled out in this direction. So let's go ahead and finish out our front view because I know that I need a segment right here to match that shape. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that through. So I'm going to use the Edit Swift Loop this time, and you want to make sure that your graphite modeling tools are on. So make sure that that's activated, and you'll see your ribbon show up. Go to Edit Swift Loop, and we're going to add that right here. Left click, and that should create a loop, and then we can take those vertices and place those as needed. Now I want to make sure that my my edges or my polygons are even at this point, and I also want to make sure that this bottom line right here is straight across. So I'm going to grab my scale tool and scale that in the Y, okay, just to make sure that that is perfectly straight. Now let's go to our top view by hitting T on the keyboard, and let's grab the groups of vertices and start scaling those in to match the shape of our car. So here we pulled that in. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull that straight out here. And it looks like I'm going to need another segment right here, so we'll take care of that momentarily. And we're just going to match this to our reference image. So scale those out together. And scaling these. And then I'm going to take these right here and pull those out, my reference image. And then we're going to take these and pull those out. Now let me take these right here and let me pull that right here to this point. I think that's going to work just a little bit better for us. So I'm hitting R on the keyboard to grab my scale tool. And I apologize if I haven't said the shortcuts for the move, rotate, and scale. Really quickly, the move tool is W, the rotate tool is E, and then the scale tool is R. Okay, so let's make sure that we have those set. I'm going to do a little bit of repositioning right here. Okay, so just make those adjustments. All right, so now that I have this adjusted, everything is looking pretty good up to this point. I have a couple of things that I want to change really quickly. Let me adjust all of those together really quick. There we go. We need to add one segment right here to get this corner. So let's add that in, select those edges right there, or we can just hit Edit, Swift Loop, and do it that way. Either way will be fine. Okay. You'll find that as you become more and more experienced with modeling, there are going to be tools that do the same job, and it's just completely up to your workflow. So let's go back to our front view by hitting F. Everything is matching up in here pretty well. I want to grab this segment right here and pull that up there. And everything's matching pretty close up to this point. But I do want to really quickly make just a really quick change, because if we take a look at our left view, you can see that this is not matching at all here. So we have a couple of issues that we need to take a look at. And we've matched it up in two views, but we haven't done anything with our left view. And it's really important that you take care of these issues as they come up, because if you wait till the very end like this, it could pose some issues. So make sure that you're working in all three views at the same time. Now, the reason that I did it this way is to show you that all is not lost. We don't have to start over at this point. We just need to think about the problem that's at hand. So looking at my reference image, you can see here that I'm missing this line right here that goes right across the front. You can see that we have our top, and it should stop right about here, and then it should slant down and then come across. So these segments that are on the outside right here, if we select these, okay, on both sides, these should actually be down a little bit lower. So let me pull those down, and then let's go to our front view and hit Alt-X. If I go to my vertex mode and I match these up with that highlight right here, that's going to be the outside edge of that flare. So I'm going to put those right in the middle of that. And I'm matching that up there. So here we're matching up really well. Let's grab this corner right here on both sides, and let's just pull that down a little bit. Okay. So if I go to my front view, I've got all of those. Now if we take a look at our object, it's not flat across the top any longer. We've got this point. Now the reason for that is because we have a single line down the middle, but we don't have the segments that we need at the corners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this edge right here in the middle, double click on that, and let's go ahead and split that into two. So to split it into two, we're going to use chamfer. So here you can see that it took that one edge and split that into two. And I'm going to spread that apart. I'm going to go to about 5.5 or so, because I don't want to go on the outside edges here. So I'm just going to hit OK, and then I'm going to come in and hold down Alt and deselect all of the edges up to this point right here. Now I'm going to grab my scale tool and scale those apart. Now, you'll notice here that my scale tool is only, it's not right in the center of those edges. So this is a little bit of an issue. So what I can do is I can convert my edge selection to a vertex selection by holding down Control and then selecting vertex mode. You'll see that I still have the same selection, just in a different subobject mode. And notice that my scale tool is right in the center of those vertices. This is going to be very helpful during your modeling process. So I'm going to spread this apart. And I'm spreading that apart, if I go to my left view, right up to this point here. Okay? So I've spread that apart, and let's go to our perspective view, and I'm going to kind of bring some of these back because that's a little bit too far. Let me take this one, and let me pull that in, and there we go. So that looks good. Let's go to polygon mode, and I'm going to select these two right here, and in my left view, let's grab our move tool, hitting W on the keyboard, and let's pull that up to right about here. Now we're getting closer, but we still don't have that flare right here in the middle. And if you notice, we have our corner, which is what we have right here, but we need a segment right in the middle to create that change in shape. So let's create our segment that we need right there in the middle there. So to do this, this will be very easy. If we select this edge and hold Shift and select the next one, that's going to select that ring. And then I can hold Control, select that edge, and then hold Shift and select the next edge. And that will select that ring. Now I can use Connect, and let's make sure that it's set to 1 and everything else is zeroed out, so it makes a cut right in the middle, and let's hit OK. Now what I can do is I can go to my front view by hitting F and go to vertex mode, and then let's hit Alt X to go to see-through mode, and let's match up these vertices in this new line to our reference image. So I'm going to pull this down. I'm looking right at the top of that dark line right there. I know it's a little tough to see with this see-through here, but we'll match that up as closely as possible, and then we'll make some minor adjustments as we need to. Alright, so now if we take a look at our object, everything's looking pretty good so far. Now the only thing that I need to do at this point is I need to make some adjustments to these vertices. I'm going to pull these down just to make sure that that's rounded. And then I'm going to take these and I'm going to pull those down too. Okay, so just kind of trying to create that rounded shape there. And then I'm going to take these on the corner and I'm going to pull those down quite a bit. So right about there, just kind of cut that in half. So everything is looking good. We've got our nice, neat looking shape here. And now what I need to do is go ahead and get rid of the polygons along the bottom. So I'm going to select those. And let me do this a little bit differently. Let me actually select this polygon right here in the middle. And let's actually select these 4. And I'm going to hit Grow twice. And that should select all of those along the bottom. Now, if it doesn't select all of those along the bottom, you can get as close as possible and just delete those. You can also hold Control to select multiples of those. Now, last thing I need to do is take these corners and pull those back just to round out that front there. And then also, let's get the polygons across the back here. And delete that. Let's take that polygon and pull that up just a little bit. Kind of create that contour. And then I'm going to do the same thing right here. Okay. So I'm going to take those 3 and just pull those up a little bit. And take that edge and pull that down some. Just kind of smooth that out. Alright, so we've created or blocked out the shell of our RC car. And I'm going to go ahead and change its color to black and apply my previous material. I'm going to make that a little bit of a lighter gray. And then assign that to my object. And there we go. So in our next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to smooth this out. And I'm going to show you how to use what's called a subdivision modeling technique. So I'll see you then.